All right, what's happening? Welcome back. This is going to be another episode here. We are going to cover some LSU football and a few other things. Starting with the game yesterday. Big win over the Razorbacks for more than one reason. Mainly get back on track after the loss to Bama. Which, all in all, really and truthfully, just to kind of cover that Bama loss real quick, it was actually better than what I was expecting. I was expecting a more than 3 touchdown loss. So they played better than I expected. So moving on to Arkansas, big win, more than one reason. Once again, we got them back on track after the Bama loss. Keeps a decent season alive. They can, if they just beat Tennessee and A&M, they'll be in line for a decent bowl game, and so it'll put them up there looking for a 10-win season. So we got. We moved up from 24 to number 21 in the polls, thanks to a few losses ahead of us. Let's see. Let's get started here. I continue to be impressed by as the season has gone. I continue to be impressed by the offensive line play. They have definitely gelled as a unit and are. Steady, getting better and better, and opening up holes in that running game. They started off a little sluggish this weekend, gave up a few sacks early, but I mean, an 11 a.m. kickoff, man, come on. I think everybody was a little sluggish for that one. So they, if everybody comes back up front next year, I think they'll be. They have the potential to be one of the best O lines in the country. Of course, that's a big if. They need Clapp and Weathersby to come back. I think a lot of people are talking about maybe if either of them come back, only one of them, whether it be Clapp or Weathersby, if they do come back, then we're looking at a solid unit for next year. If we lose both of them, they may struggle early again, taking some time to gel again. So you're looking at young quarterback behind an offensive line that's replacing 2 starters again. Maybe I'm not going to say a long season, but probably along the lines of what we're seeing this year, especially early on. It takes a little while for that unit to gel. So next we got QB play. The QB play is average at best, but it's consistent. Etling is not great by no means. He's, I'm not going to say good. He's very, very average, but he doesn't. He's smart with the ball. He doesn't really throw it away. Throw it to the other team. So you kind of know what you have with him. A lot of people are wanting to go. It's late in the season. A lot of people are just saying, start preparing for next year and throw the freshman in there and see what he's got. But you don't want to do that. You still got something to play for this season. You're definitely going to a bowl game. So you're playing for a 10-win season here. So that's huge. Um, and then on top of that, I call it the Jarrett Lee effect. You don't want to just throw him out there and let him get beat up and lose any of the confidence that he has right now going into next year. We saw, we all saw Jarrett Lee after that one year where he got thrown in and threw all those pick sixes and all that. I mean, the next season was rough. It took him a couple years to recover from that. Senior year, he finally recovered and basically took us to a national championship game where. So I felt some bad decisions were made as far as the lineup goes in that, but it is what it is. Next, we got our running back play. As always, LSU is loaded at running back with Darius Geis and Darrell Williams, and the Brissett kid behind that, who for some reason they have just. It seems like they've completely given up on after that one fumble. So, everybody I see and listen to, they're wanting to know what LSU's going to look like at running back after Geis and Williams leave. Well, Geis is just a junior. There is a possibility he could come back. He hasn't had that great of a season. I mean, don't get me wrong. He had the big running game, the big game a couple weeks ago. But he's been dinged up. I don't necessarily think it's going to affect his draft status, but he could be that homegrown kid that just wants to finish something that he started. So we'll see what decision he makes after the season's over. And of course, obviously, yes, we lose Williams. He's a senior. So and then so they have running backs on the roster, and they'll sign some more. Personally, from what I've seen over the years, LSU has done better with no name running backs that come in and then make a name for themselves, as opposed to signing these big time recruits and then come in with all these expectations like a Leonard Fournette, and yes, they live up to their billing, but at the same time, it kind of dictates your offense to you. You go out and you get these big name running backs. Well, you got to give them the ball if you want to keep them. So I feel that maybe. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say don't go after the number one running back in the nation. That's just stupid. But I mean, if you don't get them, we're going to get running backs. We're going to get good running backs. LSU's always had good running backs. So I mean, they'll be okay at running back. Where we need to get okay is at quarterback and receiver. And not saying that we're not good at receiver right now. Our receiver play is okay, not great, but that's also has been dictated by our very, very average quarterback play with a very, very inaccurate quarterback. So, but I have seen several times balls hitting receivers in the hands, and the ball being dropped. Then we got our defense. Man, the defense is solid. Getting better every week. Dante Jackson, I think he's turning into that that cornerback, that that DBU. Well, all of them are, Jackson and Greedy and Tolliver. They're we're living up to our billing as DBU. Defensive line play is getting better as they've gotten healthy over the course of the season. Still lacking some depth, which I think obviously it hurt against Bama late in the game. The defense got tired, as in like every Bama game for the past 7 years. They just wear our defense down because our offense hasn't done nothing. So Arden Key is back to being a beast. I don't remember exactly what his stats were this past game, but him and I know him and Devin White are leading that squad, and they've got the defense, firing on all cylinders right now. Now what I saw this past weekend that really upset me was special teams play, and especially with our kickers. LSU has always had a good kicker. Now all of a sudden we can't make a field goal. They don't have a special teams coordinator on staff. They're dividing it up amongst the coaches that are on staff. But that leads me to a topic here of the coaching staff itself. They don't have a special teams coordinator. They don't have a quarterback coach. Right there you're looking at, so special teams is a huge part of the game. I mean, it's 1/3 of the game. You need somebody that's over that side of the ball. Because right now they've got Jeff Grimes, the offensive line coach, is over the kickers. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know Jeff Grimes personally, but I do know he's an offensive line guy. They don't really deal with kickers very well. So, I mean, you gotta get a special teams coordinator on staff. From what I hear, now that they can hire 10 coaches, they have a guy that's a so-called analyst that they're going to that should be the 10th coach, and that'll give them our special teams coordinator. Now, as far as the quarterback coach, here's the thing. We should have, out of the 9 coaches they have on staff, they should have a quarterback coach. One of those 9 guys should be a quarterback coach. I mean, so you've got Steve Kragthorpe, who came in 2006, somewhere around there. Was supposed to be the offensive coordinator, diagnosed with Parkinson's, relinquished that, was the QB coach all the way up through the season that we lost to Bama in the national championship game. And then now has just kind of stepped back and has taken the analyst role. Well, the analyst, I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. The analyst cannot have contact with the kids. They can talk to the coaches, and then they can talk to a coach, tell them how to handle it, and then the coach, will handle it. But a lot of times stuff gets lost in translation. Like an offensive line coach dealing with kickers. So, obviously you've got Kragthorpe in an analyst role, so he's not one of your 9 coaches anyway. So you got to kind of take him out of the mix. But you've got on staff as one of your coaches Steve Ensminger, who was a quarterback, and he's a tight ends coach. Now, I've played a little ball. I coached a little ball. And the last thing you really need is a coach just for tight ends. You've got a wide receiver coach. You've got an offensive line coach. Your tight ends should be